Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. And I've already started the show off wrong as I failed our man, Gus. I did not get the OG theme song back in. I was going to finish editing that today, and EP came down with a sick. And so my responsibilities went to making sure she was okay, which meant a lot of watching Scandal on the couch together. And making sure she was fed and drank, given food and water. So that's
misplaced priorities, Nathan.
You could say that. Taking care of EP there for us. But,
yeah,
we're back in the house, the three of us. You heard Stoner there, and you heard Trev as well here on episode 144. If my math is right,
Three.
I think
Maybe four. You might be right.
144. But It doesn't matter. We've got the Giants coming up, and we'll be talking about New York Giants, who Washington is facing this Sunday in the game. We got our week 7 predictions coming up in the cool down as well. And here for the warm up, we've got lots of people that are not sleeping here. Warm up brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Head out to don'tsleepenergy.com. Use the code DISTRICT. Get yourself 10% off those new berry shots. I am looking forward to that coming in because, that'd be my jam right there. Is those berry shots? That hoodie looks mad comfortable. But not sleeping in the chat. HT in here first. White Rabbit, Doug in the house. Gus, like I mentioned, at the airport, and I let my man down. Uptown Dre here as well. TJ in the house. We appreciate everybody jumping in with us, and we want your comments and your likes and your subs. So make sure you hit that up here as we talk about the Washington Commanders. Gentlemen, we've long talked about the sacks. We've broken down some of them. We even posted something today on Twitter that kind of blew up a little bit, and we realized we didn't phrase things as well as we probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
The sack issue with Sam it continues to be a problem. Atlanta doubled up their sack total against Washington. They came in with 5, they left with 10. That's pretty significant given the fact that they had 5 in 5 games, and then they get 5 in 1 game. The Giants, which we'll be talking about later, have also had pass rush issues. They have not gotten after the quarterback. So it'll be something we'll be watching this weekend. JP Finley had an amazing stat that we shared on Tuesday's Daily Commanders update. 80% of drives that have a sack do not end with a score. That's
NFL wide.
Right. NFL wide. If your quarterback gets sacked, your team's not scoring on that drive.
Yeah.
80% of the time, they're not scoring on that drive. That's wild. Trev, Sam Howell has been electric with his arm. And we've seen some pretty gutsy runs in there as well. But we've also seen 34 sacks. How can he do that? Because how can he get better? Because the offensive line, by most metrics, are saying the offensive line isn't the issue. So even if you lined it up like the defensive line with a row of first-round talent, a row of Trent Williams, Sam Howell would still have a sack problem. So how does he fix it?
He's got to get the ball out, throw the ball away, have better pocket awareness. It seems like a lot of his sacks, he gets blindsided or he just looks left. It's like, oh, there's somebody right here in my face. Get the ball out quick. You're going to get sacked. It's NFL, yes. But you're already small. You're just asking for more pain to be brought upon you for taking these sacks. And when I mean taking these sacks, it's like he's holding on to the ball back there longer than 2, 3, 4 seconds. Offensive line can only do so much to keep a guy off of him. And you're just you're just crawling up and taking sacks. Get the ball out. Scramble, throw it away. Have better pocket awareness. I mean, yes, he's essentially a quote-unquote rookie because it's only he's 4-3 now as a starter for us. But Yeah, the same thing happened to him in college a lot too. He took a lot of sacks in college, so it seems like that's the only thing he didn't. He's having a hard time auto correcting, if you as you say, because he's done that fairly well since he's been with us. But it seems like this particular thing he has a hard time doing. So get the ball out, better pocket awareness.
Let me ask you that the first one, get the ball out. That I think is an EB thing rather than a Sam thing. And EB has to not tell him, design plays to get the ball out rather than Sam just doing it. So I agree with you on that that's easily correctable. Better pocket awareness, I think you have it or you don't. I don't think that's something that can necessarily be learned. Pocket awareness is a feel. It's an understanding of where the rush is coming from and how to move within the pocket or to get out of the pocket in certain directions. Some guys have it, some guys don't. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get maybe a little better at it, but I think if you don't have pocket awareness, I don't think you can learn that.
Do you think he's still adjusting to the speed of the pass rush and the pocket collapse and awareness rather than in college? He might have had a little bit longer to make these decisions, but NFL, you don't have quite as long because you got Myles Garrett and
normally I would say
coming,
yes to that, but because his sack percentages were equal to what he has now, I don't see it as it's not a speed thing.
Right.
And I think his processing at times is fine. It's not always perfect. But I mean, we've seen good timing on his throws, and we've seen him go through progressions, as well, and hit the right guy. But there is something missing from his game. A little bit of that pocket presence is the Lucas one that we shared today was good example of, right? Cornelius Lucas blocks this guy down 10. He's like 10 yards down the field. Sam Howell had a clean enough pocket, and something in his system said, hey, I got to bail. He does this little shimmy thing, and then he starts to move, and he moves right into a sack. And quite a few of those. One actually was credited to Sam Cosme, was very similar, as Sam Cosme had his guy blocked, and then as Sam Howell went towards the right side, ran right into a sack, and Sam Cosme was knocked for that one, unlike Lucas before. So it's there might be some inconsistencies with how things are graded out on who they go to and who they don't go to, but the timing's there. And we've seen one of the stats that has been shared with Sam Howell is what his time to pass, his like quickness, it's one of the best in the NFL. It's faster than Patrick Mahomes. So like when he's getting the ball out, he's getting the ball out quick. So I don't know that getting the ball out quicker is going to necessarily be the answer. I know protecting him isn't going to be the answer, because one of the stats that got popped up today that was very interesting from Arjun Menon was time to pressure on plays where QB has been sacked in 2023. One, the 34 looks absolutely insane on this graph, by the way. Just pointing that out there. But Washington is third from the right, which this isn't a graph where it's like you want to be on the left side or want to be on the right side. It's just more of an informational graph as far as where you stack up. But that means that Sam Howell, when he's been sacked, most of the time it's been over 2.5 seconds in the pocket. So these pressures, these sacks aren't coming from a quickness. This is coming from him sitting in the pocket. And it's not necessarily him trying to get the ball away quicker, as much as it's going through the progressions and just taking what the defense is giving you. And that in part, Stoner, is right. Give him somebody short, teach him there. We don't need him to come into the game and be captain check down, but have those outlets and hitting those outlets go 1, 2, let me hit that guy who's short, because he is too often looking for that bigger play.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Playing, I think we said this on Sunday's show, that he's always playing as if it's 3rd and 10. Right.
Yeah. Even if it might be 2nd and 4, he's always looking. It seems to be that he's looking for that bigger play rather than taking what the defense is giving you, which is a guy right in front of you 5 yards downfield, which is a perfectly fine play. It's not exciting, it's not sexy, but it gets the job done. But kind of going back a little bit to that whole pocket presence thing is, and maybe the speed is a little much, or if it's not, he played 3 years of college ball. This is not an Anthony Richardson kind of guy who's played 25 games at a higher level of quarterback. He's played 50, 70, whatever the number is, 15 games a year for 3 years, plus the 7 games here. This is not something that, like I said, I don't believe can be learned, because he's had that issue from the beginning and it's just continuing. It's not a fatal flaw, but it's a flaw that can hold him back from taking that next step. And so he's got to figure something out. And again, I think that's where EB comes in. Maybe he doesn't have to design every play to be short, but he does need to have more plays with checkdowns, because on some of those sacks, sometimes you'll see also that there's no check down. But he's also had plays where he threw to his check down and he throws an interception because he's just throwing out there kind of blind and hoping his guy's there. So there's just a lot of those things, but that comes with time as being a quarterback at the NFL level. But I just don't think that pocket presence is something that can be learned. I mean,
No,
Tom Brady had
here.
the greatest pocket presence in history.
Yeah.
Just those little subtle movements. I don't think it's something that somebody taught him to do. It's just something that he feels.
You don't remember those Jim
game.
Zorn video clips of him doing all those crazy drills and everything like that? They do. That's something you could work on. And we've seen Sam Howell squirm out of sacks, and we've seen him we've seen him recognize that. So it's something we know he does. It's just not something he is doing as often. So that's why I think there's some hope. And Tommy, saying that there are QBs that have gotten better with sacks. It's been very hard for me to research this. I am looking into it, and I hope that I can find some good information by the time Sunday's game comes around, because I would like to present this with some facts.
I have some.
As you do. Excellent. This is why we're a team.
Research. This particular quarterback led the league in sacks in 2015, 2016, 2019, 2020, and 2022. So he led the league in sacks. I didn't even see where he was in those other times. I didn't pay attention. I didn't write it down that he didn't lead the league in sacks. But this guy basically can't get better with the sacks. But it's not a fatal flaw in his game, because he's probably going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Any ideas?
Russell
He's
Wilson?
probably right on there. Russell Wilson. That's exactly right. He's a guy that just can't stop getting sacked. 52, these are the years that he led the league. 52 sacks, 47 sacks, 55 sacks, 52 sacks, 55 sacks. It's all in the same area year after year after year. Different teams. The last year was with Denver when he had 55, and all those others, obviously with Seattle. He never learned, but it was obviously not a fatal flaw to his game, because, as I said, he won a Super Bowl. He's going to the Hall of Fame, probably going to the Hall of Fame at some point. So that's not probably the exact stat you're looking for, Nathan, but that's one of those stats where it shows that he didn't get better. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are those who did get better. I mean, on here also is 2 straight years of Deshaun Watson leading the league and getting sacked right in there in 18 and 19. So there's just, if you get sacked a lot, you get sacked a lot. Yeah. But you have to be able to do all those other things to help the team and not make that a fatal flaw in your game. And hopefully Sam can do that.
Well, what's interesting is, you're talking about his development and everything, and I think you said holding this offense back. And it is kind of right, because we talked about how the stat 80% of drives that have a sack in them don't end with a score.
Can I jump in there real quick, Nathan?
Yes.
Just to add to that stat, because John Keim tweeted out something that talks about that. There's 26 drives that Washington has had where Sam Howell has been sacked. They have 2 touchdowns on those 26 drives. That's
So they've
less
been
than
able to,
that average you just gave
yeah,
me.
20%. Yeah, that is, yeah,
That's
that would
like
be
8%,
mhm.
something in that area. So when he gets sacked, they've only scored on that particular drive twice, scored a touchdown. They do have field goals, but scored a touchdown on 2 of the drives in which they've been sacked.
Yeah.
So if he gets sacked, don't count on a touchdown that drive. And so sorry, I interrupted
Percentage
you, but I
wise.
just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to add to that.
percentage wise, it's not going to happen, right? So
Yeah,
they've been sacked
percentage-wise.
26, which goes, that actually helps us with our numbers there too, because we were talking about where he gets sacked multiple times in a drive. Now back to back, we recognized 4, but now we're saying if he's
What
been
is that,
sacked
8?
30, that's 8 drives that have had
More than one
double
sack.
sacks.
Might not be
right?
back to back.
Might not be back to back,
plays.
but they at least have had 2 or more sacks in them.
Yeah.
All of this 34 sacks, 26 drives in, having a sack within them, and the low touchdown percentage that they have with that. Washington is still middle of the pack. They're 15th in scoring
Right.
with all
Right.
of these troubles that Washington has been having
Right.
and facing some stiff competition. The Buffalo
Right.
Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles are no slouches. Denver's defense is actually pretty decent as well. Atlanta's defense, most of their games have been fairly low scoring. So for Washington to be 15th right now with the schedule that they've played with all these issues, Trev,
Yeah.
does that give us a little hope? Because we've long said, if they just put a competent QB back there, they're average in offense, this defense would be good enough to win games. Obviously, the defense, Trev, has not been good so far this season, minus this game against Atlanta. I mean, you can argue Bills game, they were in it for 3.5 quarters, but last time I checked, you have to be good for 4 quarters to win a football game.
Exactly.
So is there optimism there? Washington's 15 with Sam struggles in sacks.
Yeah, I guess there is, given to how we see how our offensive line plays, how Sam Howell plays, how our offense operates under this new system. Yeah, that's a little bit of optimism. 15 out of what, 32? That's
Top
not,
half of the league.
that's optimism. And
They were
as you were
28th
asking,
last year. 28.
yeah, okay. Then yeah, it's optimism. That's daggone near half of what we were last year. And I was
Is
looking
that
at the
point per
sack
game?
stats.
Points per game, Nathan? Is that what
Points
that
per
is?
game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think that's some optimism. And then I was also looking at the sack stats for all the teams across the league as you were looking up. It's a huge difference when you get down to New Orleans at 19. And I think to answer that question is our offensive line. I think it might be honestly the key. Like we said, we have all these versatile players that can play multiple positions, but outside of Cornelius Lucas and Charles Leno, no one else has a solid, like a one position that they're strong at, they're designated to play. You got Cosby moving into guard. He was a tackle last year. You got Wiley came over, who's a tackle, but he might whatever. You got
guard, right?
He might be guard. You got the centers change. It seems like every year we have a new center. So it's like there's no continuity on the offensive line, and maybe EB scheme is really complicated for the offensive line. I don't, because I mean, like you said, Tua Tagovailoa is 5'0", and he's been sacked 6 times.
Right.
Sam Howell's the same size, probably a little stronger and bulkier, more durable, and he's eating sacks like it's lunchtime. So maybe it is offensive line. I know that's the easy solution, but
I think it's a combination of all of those.
Sure.
If Sam Howell didn't get sacked as much, regardless of whose fault it is, whether it's Sam or the offensive line, think of how powerful this offense would be this year.
Exactly.
If they're middle of the pack with all of those issues, then think where they would be without those issues.
Exactly. Because it's causing us to go in the playbook and have to play from behind instead of executing our game plan. Our game plan immediately switches as soon as we take more than 3 or 4 sacks a game.
Yeah. But also, it depends on how you frame it. Is Sam Howell holding this offense back? Is he? Maybe a little bit, but he's also improved this offense.
I was about to say he's also very much
He's done that more than held back.
I was about to say very
I
much.
agree.
You're right. The words have meaning, right? And that is interesting. We don't want to frame it in the way that he's holding this offense back. The sack issue is certainly is stalling out the improvement that Sam Howell's installed, right?
Yes.
Because Sam Howell, it was 24th in points per game last year, by the way. I did find that stat to correct myself here. But 24th in scoring to 15th in scoring. It's not just Eric Bieniemy, okay? Although that is a big improvement and a big reason why we're seeing some of the offense we're seeing. But Sam Howell right now could arguably be classified as the best performing QB in the NFC East. Arguably in the NFC East. And just the fact that you have an argument 6 games in for a guy who has played a total of 7 games in his NFL career, that he's currently the highest performing QB in the division is significant and positive and a definite reason why we're over here and we're howling.
Sort of.
I have to say this. The more and more I've we're watching him play and everything, the more and more I keep thinking of my floor for him, which to me, I think his floor is Gardner Minshew. Okay. Not, there's the Minshew mania and there's the howlers and everything like that. There's some hype and excitement and you see some of these things, but Gardner Minshew is while a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, he's not winning games. We saw his highlight clip before his game returned to Jacksonville. And I noted all but 2 of those highlights, his team was down. In fact, his team was down bad in quite a few of them. So it's kind of, I don't know, garbage time throws are a little bit easier to make when you're down a few scores. But all but 2 of those highlights for Gardner Minshew were garbage time.
Nobody's going out and giving him a free agent contract to be their starter. Nobody for Gardner Minshew. So that you're saying is Sam's floor.
That's my floor for him.
Yeah. What's his ceiling? Current quarterback.
Current projection. I mean, he probably Russell Wilson's probably like what you're looking at, right? Like you said, he'd leading the league in sacks several years. He's got that same. It's a guy that he's even compared himself to, right? Height wise, they've got a lot of similarities. Sam Howell's got a big arm. We've seen him make those big throws. We see him get these tough runs. So I'd probably put that as a ceiling. I mean, if you're going to look to a high end, what he could be, Sam Howell could be, vintage Russell Wilson.
Could it be a Drew Brees? Not current.
I think he has more. I think he has more running ability than Drew Brees. Drew Brees had 0 running ability. Sam can run. He can get out in space and do things with his legs that we've seen it in designed plays, and we've seen him getting out of a pocket, getting out of a potential sack. That's kind of where his difference is. But I don't think he has the I don't know the right word to use. I don't want to say intelligence, but I don't think he has the,
is what I was thinking. It's the savviness Drew Brees
knew where everyone exactly would and should be on every single play. And he would throw to them and throw guys open all the time. We haven't seen it. Sam's ability to do that consistently. He's done it, but I haven't seen him do it consistently.
IQ.
Football IQ.
Yeah, football
IQ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not whether he's smart or dumb, but
Drew Brees, I think, the different kind of animal there. But I do think Russell Wilson seems to be apt for a lot of reasons. This is a weird comparison, but whenever he runs and he's out there being a bowling pin because he doesn't slide and he's just trying to get those extra yards, he reminds me a little bit of Maurice Jones-Drew. Running back there, just because he's like a little cannonball. He just holds on to the ball with both arms, and he just kind of just gets knocked around as he's over there. And it's just kind of like I remember Maurice Jones-Drew sometimes. You know, he obviously a shiftier running back, but when Jones-Drew got into and to have to be tackled whatnot, he just held on to the ball and just let people knock him around, and that's what Sam does. And yes, I realize Gardner, like Sam has a stronger arm than Gardner Minshew. That's not the comparison being made there. No. It's the kind of quarterback you expect. It's a quarterback that will be around in this league for a while, but will probably be a backup. That's the floor. He's going to win games. He's going to do enough to keep a team in. But that's the floor. I'm not saying that's where he's at currently. No. Sam Howell, again, we're trying to sing his praises in here and say that he's really elevated this offense with his ability to throw. I mean, they've got downfield throws back on the menu, not just because Eric Bieniemy is going to call them a little bit more often, but because Sam Howell, I don't think there's a throw an NFL type throw he can't make. He can make every single NFL throw.
100%. And most quarterbacks can, but not all. Not all. I mean, Taylor Heineke couldn't. I'm sorry to bring him up, but he's a guy that couldn't. But Carson Wentz could. He could make every single possible.
Who'd you say?
That's like $5.
So I got to put Carson Wentz in there too. Yeah, nice Wentz jersey.
Trev with the Carson Wentz jersey.
Don't you owe me like $5 on a bet saying you said he was going to be back for Washington? And I gave you like 100 to 1 odds or something like that.
Yeah. What were you saying, Nathan? What are we talking about next?
Show's like, I ain't got the audio's going out there. I didn't hear that one.
But I think overall with the sacks, for me anyway, with the sacks, they can be cleaned up.
Yes.
You also don't want Sam to be thinking about sacks too much. You still want him to go out there and just play freely without that. Oh, I have to throw it away because the fans don't want me to be sacked so much.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want him thinking that way. I want him to be able to just go out there and free. And then at the end of the game, how many times was I sacked? 6? Oh, man, that's probably too many. We got to work on that.
How many touchdowns did I throw, though?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want him to have to worry too much about that because except for that Arizona game when he was sacked, the sack fumble, that was disastrous. Sack fumble touchdown. And then what was it? 9 times against Buffalo? 9 or 10 times?
9 times against Buffalo.
And that obviously stymied their ability to be effective on offense. Those, but 5 and 4 and 5 and 6 or whatever, you can kind of live with that. That's probably a little high. You're going to get up towards the record, whatever it is, 76 or whatever. But when you look at these numbers, 55, 52, 55, 47, 52, all these numbers of what led the league, he's already more than halfway there. And so that's probably just too many. So there's just that weird balance. He's got to fix the sacks, but he can't be thinking about it too much.
All right, this is my last comment on the sacks, and I'll move on. Speaking of Carson Wentz, just looked it up. Remember, he suffered 9 sacks in that one Eagles game.
Yeah, first Eagles game last year.
So 2 totally different quarterbacks, kind of same moxie, kind of similar escapability out of the pocket, you know. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to taking sacks, they're similar. So is it really on Sam as a quarterback, or is it on the offensive line? Just based on that. I think offensive line leads the race in the cause. Has to be.
But if you, like we said, if you look on PFF, and PFF is not the be all end all judgmental place, but still they are something that looks at these things closely. If you look at them, Washington's offensive line is very well rated. And even on our tweet that we put out today, the director of football product for PFF retweeted it and said, this is why Washington has a highly rated offensive line, but yet they lead the league in sacks because what Sam Howell does sometimes, he runs right into sacks.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, when things go bad and you give up 9 sacks, you're going to start screaming at Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates and Sadiq Charles and everything because they give up a few
You're going to
sacks.
post on Twitter about Cornelius Lucas's PFF grade and
Right.
it goes
No, but I'm
sideways.
saying when it's really, really bad, you're gonna highlight it. But when it's not really, really bad, then you can just kind of live with some of those mistakes, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 per game.
Yeah. And so to Yam's point here, PFF rating stats are bogus with the line. It's not just PFF. Most statistics, by most measurements, the offensive line's pass blocking has been not just
terrible.
Not terrible, not even, it's above average.
Yeah.
Not average, above average.
Right.
Not top 10, but also not average. So they're in that like 10 to 15 range, really 10 to 12 range, and a lot of advanced statistics, a lot of eyeball tests. We see the end product. We see Sam Howell getting hit, and you look to blame somebody. And when you see Sam Howell throw it, you're like, that kid's got something, and you want him to succeed. So you're going to look to blame somebody else in that regard. I want to talk about a few things I have starred here. We made the comparison to Drew Brees. You asked about Drew Brees and that. It's okay. Tommy's saying Drew Brees wasn't like that his first year. So I went ahead.
What?
Wasn't like what we're seeing with Sam Howell. Drew Brees had a passer rating of 81.8, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in his first 7 games of his career. So whether or not,
how many times was he sacked?
Whether or not, let's see if it's on this StatMuse thing. He was sacked 8 times.
Only 8 times.
Only 8 times
compared to 34.
Yeah,
that's a huge difference because he has that pocket presence. Even as a rookie, he had that pocket presence, or at least the understanding to get the ball out quick and to not take any sacks. I mean, that's 1 per game on average, just over 1 per game. 8 sacks in 7 games.
Yeah, that's Russell Wilson, by the way, who we've said that could be his ceiling. 14 sacks in his first 7 games. Passer rating of 79.5, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So, I mean, and again, I am a big believer in Sam Howell, and his numbers aren't that far off if they're not comparable to those two, could be Hall of Famers, right?
Right.
And so I do think that there's a lot going well with Sam Howell in that. And I don't think from Jacoby here who's saying that we've only played 6 games, let's wait till the end of the season before we're rating, judging and criticizing Sam as a quarterback. I think it's more than fair to talk about his struggles so far as much as we talked about his praises. We want him to improve, just like the team wants him to improve. And I'll say this, Stoner, you have brought this up before. Okay. Ron Rivera's job is on the line.
Right.
He does not have time to develop talent. Okay.
Right.
He's got to win now.
Right.
And Sam Howell is still out there as quarterback 1. And that's not a mistake.
No.
Okay. If they thought Jacoby Brissett was going to save their jobs, Jacoby Brissett would be out there.
Right.
Jacoby Brissett's on the sidelines with the clipboard and jawing it up and helping out Sam Howell. Okay. He's a good teammate. He's helping out Sam Howell, but Sam Howell's the best chance Washington has to win games.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. And also, if we didn't sit here and pick apart every bit of Sam Howell during the season and we waited to the end, well, there'd be no such thing as ref the district. Because nobody would care if we sat here and talked about Nick Gates and his
this is Nick Gates' game.
per game.
This is Nick Gates' Someone
So
was
that's what
asking
we
about
do.
the attempts. He averaged 25 attempts per game. Russell Wilson did
in those
So,
7 games.
Yeah, and then
And by the way, those
Drew
sacks,
Brees was 29.4 attempts a game.
if you're counting for his first 7 games, don't forget to count the 3 sacks he got sacked against Dallas in his first game last year. So that's 37 sacks.
So yeah,
in
and that's
7 games.
that's also why we're kind of criticizing in week 6 because we're leading the leagues in sacks, and that's the quarterback position. So we kind of should talk about it.
It's the one thing that we know we can get better at, right? And
Yeah.
we're 15th in scoring. And if we want to put up more points, when you're talking about 80%, only 2 out of 26 drives did they score a touchdown when he's gotten sacked. Keep them clean.
Right.
Score a touchdown. They have been able to do that. They've been efficient when it goes to that. And, we've seen this as well from the Mandalorian. Sam is hitting dudes in the hands wide open, and they're dropping touchdowns. They're dropping Jahan. That's just an egregious drop, right? Jahan kind of having a sophomore slump there, as Yam is saying. And I have faith that Jahan's going to fix it, as that's the next topic to move to here in the Don't Sleep warm-up. Jahan Dotson is actually getting more targets per game than he was last season. I mean, it's significant, right? It's 12. It's not a significant jump. It's 12% to 15%. But the opportunities have been there, but the yardage and the touchdowns are not. What is going on with Jahan Dotson, Trev?
Sophomore slump. I know it just feels like he's kind of letting the offseason talk get to his game when everyone said, "Oh, is Jahan Dotson really wide receiver number 1? Is he going to take Terry's spot when Terry leaves? He's a solid number 2. He was leading the league in touchdowns as a rookie before he got hurt as a receiver, yada, yada, yada." A lot of offseason was, I love Sam. Sam's my guy. They worked together offseason. Is he wide receiver number 1? That was popped up a lot. And it feels like he's trying to do too much on the field with opportunities he gets, no matter what the percentage is. It just feels like he's trying to focus more on his self-production than the team. Now, I know he had an interview with Scott Abraham, and he said, it's a team game, and he's going to make the most of opportunities. But he said he does have some doubts. But it also comes with the game of football. It's a new offensive system. Maybe EB is not scheming enough for you, or maybe he is, and it comes down, like Rivera said, to the quarterback decisions too, why you're not getting the ball. Sophomore slump happens to the greatest, but it's just weird because he's dropping gimme balls, guys. Like he's wide open, but it looks like he's ready to make a play before he has the ball in his hands, causing him to drop. You know what I mean? Like he's ready because he had that play last year against New York, the spin move touchdown that was fire as a rookie. So now it seems like he knows what he's capable of doing, and he's just focused more on that rather than catching the ball and then making a decision or whatever, or playing a team game. Now, I could be way wrong. I know he's a team ball player, but that's just what it looks like on the field, explaining the sophomore slump.
I don't think there's anything that you can say tangible, that's tangible that you can say of what's going on with it. Because it's just one of those things. It's one of those weird things that happens once in a while. You remember last year, I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, we all went to that preseason game, Washington against Cincinnati. And Jamar Chase was a rookie.
Yes,
and Jamar Chase was dropping everything. And everybody was like, oh my God, they passed up an offensive lineman for this Jamar Chase, and he can't even catch. And obviously that didn't pan out. He catches everything.
Yeah.
Now this is not egregious. It's a drop here and it's a drop there and everything, but it just seems like it's one of those things. It's just hard to explain it. It's not Jahan Dotson can't catch. It's not Jahan Dotson is not any good or anything like that. It's just kind of one of those things that you just look at and you say, it doesn't make any sense, but I bet it's going to work itself out. I mean, he played 12 games last year, right? 6
Mhm.
games this year. So he's played 18 games in the NFL. And this past game was only the second game where he hasn't caught a pass. And how many times can we count that he's dropped a ball? This game and the game before. And that's probably it, right? This was never a thing in any of these other games. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I do have my first bold prediction. My bold prediction for the game is that first play, slant to Jahan. When things like this happen, let's get him involved early. Remember last week it was we're not targeting Terry enough. First play, throw to Terry. Even though it didn't gain anything, it was a 0-yard gain. It was get Terry involved.
Mhm.
So I think this game is going to be a slant to Jahan, or maybe that same play to Terry or whatever. Anybody want to take that bet?
No, I like
No.
it. And I do think you're going to see as they want to fix it. Sam talked about it. Jahan talked about it. We're probably going to hear Eric Bieniemy talk about it on his Thursday presser. They're going to
Mhm.
find ways to get him involved here
Yeah,
as they
100%.
try to win that game. But as Super Chef here saying, I don't care who gets the ball. Let's just win. And Washington does have a game to win here against New York on Sunday. So unless Stoner's going to stop me with some kind of stat he wants to
Right.
share,
Not till we
We've-
talk about the Giants.
we have to appease Edmund here and
Oh,
move on to the Giants. What's up with the Giants? We understand that that's all coming up here in the game. Stay with us.
The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
The Washington Commanders host the New York Giants this Sunday. Last year, they went 0-1-1 against the Giants as they were in a playoff race with them to see whether or not the NFC East could potentially get 4 teams in to the new 17 playoff race. At least 3. Washington ended up being on the outside looking in because they were unable to complete. Can they reverse course this season? Maybe. No Danny Dimes.
Danny
Maybe
Dimes,
not.
right.
Maybe we're going to see Tyrod Taylor. Trev,
most likely.
one of the things that the Giants defense is not great. Okay. They haven't been able to get after the quarterback. They've been giving up 147 yards rushing. But as PCC here notes, maybe we should do a film review on the running game because it's not great. The run
Talking about
game,
ours or theirs?
yep, Washington's run game is the Achilles heel of this offense, is what PCC was saying.
I
And
totally
I mean-
disagree, but go ahead.
I really think we need to take a look at it then because this running game has not been great. As good as Washington's pass blocking has been, not great, but feasible, right? The run blocking, albeit they've only had maybe 6 runs per game. As
That's the problem.
Probably try to find that out.
Yeah.
The running game hasn't been strong. So, Trev, where does B Rob come into this game to help Washington win?
You got to pound the rock, dog. Ground and pound. B Rob is a force to be reckoned with when the ball is in his hands, whether it's catching a pass or getting a handoff. It's going to take more than 2 people to bring that man down. Run the ball down their throats. Take advantage of what the defense is giving you. If their run defense is poor, let's attack the run defense until they can stop it. Okay? It's time to stop performing to other teams' playing capabilities when we play them. Yes, they have a bad rushing defense, and yes, they can't attack the quarterback. But what did the Bears have? Hell, they lost 14 straight games, and what they do, they played us. Got sacks, scored mad points, played completely different than the narrative they were given. So, for B-Rob to be successful, EB, I need you to run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Ain't no need to censor that. I'm sorry I missed the censor, but you got to run the damn ball.
100%. You got to
That'll set
run
up play
the
action. It'll set up
king ball.
Yes. it'll set up more possibilities and opportunities for your offense if you run the ball. Put Gibby in there and run too. He had success running against New York in his career with us. Put both of them back there and go by committee.
Chris
And then let
Rodriguez
Sam
has
Howell.
a couple good runs there against Atlanta.
You know what I mean? So yeah, B-Rub's ground and pound, EB. I know you love the air game, but ground and pound. Give what the defense is giving you. Take it.
I think EB, we talked about this a little bit last week, but EB he tries to get a little too cute with everything when he shouldn't. And he just needs to take what's in front of him and just and manage the game sometimes. This is one of those games that he just needs to manage offensively. As you said, 147 yards a game that they're giving up. That's insanely bad for a defense. That's 31st in the league. And the only one worse is Denver, which Denver's like worse in everything. So run the ball, period. Washington does not have a bad running game. They average 4.3 yards. What's that?
Exactly.
So it's more non-existent than bad.
Yeah, it's non-existent. They average 4.3 yards per carry as a team. They just have to run more. Their attempts are so low. When I looked at it last week, I haven't looked at it after week 6, but when I looked at it after week 5, they were third worst in attempts. And the only reason they weren't worse is the two teams ahead of them had played one less game. They'd already had a bye. There were teams that had byes that had more runs than them, more rushing attempts.
Yeah.
So it's just, and again, that Chicago game just totally throws the stats all wacky because it
does
55 consecutive passes and 6 runs the entire game.
Well,
but they just have to do it
just
more.
That, though. Washington was leading against Atlanta and still for the entirety of the game only called 18 total run plays.
Right.
There are 4 scrambles in there from Sam Howell, but 18 for the game.
That's awful.
Eating for 90% of that game.
Yeah.
And so Eric Bieniemy does use the short pass. I know you guys don't like talking about that.
Not in the fourth quarter, he wasn't. When they against Atlanta, when they were supposed to be running clock and everything.
Exactly.
And if you don't want, if you're gonna pass it on first down when you're up 8 points with 4 minutes to go in the game, and you're gonna throw it, throw a short pass.
Screens.
Don't throw a long throw 25 yards downfield. Don't bring in Trent Scott so that you've got 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends. You've got 8 dudes on the line of scrimmage, and you decide to throw it. Why are you throwing a 25-yard pass?
Exactly.
Because the chances of that being complete are so much lower. So I'm okay if you do use that short passing game as an extension of your running game, but please do that more often than throwing those deeper throws. That's all I'm asking of EB. And listen, EB listens to this show. I know he does. He watches this show. And so does Coach Rivera, because every time we suggest something, that's what he does. When we said, when we told them to throw the ball to Terry, target Terry a whole lot more, they targeted him 8 times in the first half and like 3 times on the first drive. They're listening to us. When we said, you got to play Khaleke Hudson more. He seems to be a guy that's going to do. They played him more. They listen to us on this show. I'm really pretty convinced of it. So now I'm telling you, Ron and EB and all the offensive brain trust on this team, you're playing against a team who can't stop the run. Don't get cute. Just run the ball. Period.
Yes.
Run it 30 times this game at a minimum, and you're going to win this game. I got 99 reasons why Washington is going to win this game. Not really. I'm just saying for effect. 99 ways that Washington can win this game. But at the end of the day, spoiler alert, I'm picking the Giants because I don't think Washington right now is capable of doing any of these 99 things. So I'm just throwing that out there. You got to run the ball this game against a team who can't stop the run. Period. It's not rocket science, Nathan.
It's not. And we
But-
did ask everybody what they think Brian Robinson's going to get. We're going to get to this now instead of later. We can do dollars later on it, but this was one of the questions we asked, right? Giants, again, allowing 147.5 yards rushing a game. So how much is B-Rob going to finish with? And we've got, that he's finally going to crack 100. We've seen, my favorite answer is actually on our YouTube community page from Rhett Jet Painter. Mini Robinson against the Giants D, probably 236 yards. Full-size Robinson versus the Giants D, you're going to need a slide rule. Now, if Robinson lost a leg, then he might hover around 100 yards. Really, any lower extremity being lost might hinder his effort. Lead pipe, lock cinch with both legs, minimum 20 yards. Loved that answer there. Yeah, some reasonable ones, 14 carries, 45 yards, 15 carries, 90 yards, 20 rushes, 125 yards. Washington would win this game if that's what he gets there. 2 touchdowns, says Rick Springs, to add into that. Ruckus with 1,000 yards as well. 67 because EB won't run it. That's from gut lead there. Nelford running. They're going to go heavy on the pass. A lot of people want Brian Robinson to succeed here.
Yes.
Stoner has called him a jag. He's not being used often enough. And it's hard to argue, right? You
can't argue with me right now.
He's not a
got the
Bijan
numbers to
Robinson.
back it up.
Bijan Robinson definitely, he does something special there. Brian Robinson did something special against the Falcons. He absolutely trucked a guy. He had Terry McLaurin. Yeah, Terry McLaurin was blocking him. He could have just bounced to the right 2 steps and walked into the end zone. And Brian Robinson put down his head and said, I'm going through you. And that is what Brian Robinson does, is he runs angry. And I think he's going to run angry this game when he gets the opportunity. But this might be another game. Which game was it that he had 10 carries, 70 yards? It was
either Arizona or Denver.
I think it was Denver. I think it was Denver. It might be a Denver type game where he gets only 10 to 12 touches.
Yeah.
But he just has a successful time with those touches there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Toothpick and the First String podcast team. Appreciate you jumping in here. Yeah, you really did hear Stoner there. He's our resident Debbie Downer.
It was actually Buffalo game that he went 10 for 70.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was Denver as well, but yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty simple game plan to me, Nathan, when you look at all the numbers, like you said, 147.5 that they're giving up. So offensively, you just have to run it. If you want to do screens, if you want to do short passes, all of that is okay. The defense for the New York Giants, and we've said this before, if you remember, when Denver came in, I think they had like 0 sacks in their first game, and then they ended up getting 5 or something. When Buffalo came in, they had like 4 sacks in their first 2 games, and they got like 9. And then Chicago came in with like 5 sacks, and they got like 5 or 6. It's a repeating thing for this, for Washington. New York Giants come in. Guess how many sacks they have as a team?
5 or
10.
3.
They have 5.
Yeah, I was about to say.
In 6 games, they have 5 sacks. So why would you attempt to give them the opportunity to have more sacks and tee off on Sam Howell? They have some good defensive linemen, but they can't stop the run. Just simply continue to pound the rock all game offensively, and you should have success against this team. They're 16th against the pass, which is not terrible. They're middle of the pack against the pass.
Well, why would you have to
bother?
pass it when you're getting 150 yards on the ground?
Right. So why bother? So why bother throwing it time and time again? And this is really going to be that game where you're going to find out what Eric Bieniemy is really all about. Is he all about, I don't care what's on the other side, I'm going to throw the ball? Or does he actually look at the other side and say, okay, we need to have a run-centric game plan in this game? We're going to find out
Mhm.
really what EB is all about in his game planning. Because this is a no-brainer. Run the ball 50-50 with the amount of passes that you throw. At worst, it should be a 50-50 split.
So
sure.
my question is actually going to come right from that. We're going to get to this code talker one here in a moment, and I'll bring that one back up when we do, because they're very similar. But it sounds like Stoner, you were advocating for an offensive coordinator to game plan against the opponents,
Right?
whereas Eric Bieniemy, I think, is a coordinator who game plans to the offense strengths that they have.
Okay.
Mhm.
So which one do you prefer? And then Trev will go to you. Do you want an offensive coordinator who is going to go week in and week out and try to attack these weaknesses? Or are they going to go in and week out and they're like, this is what we do, this is what we do well, and it's their job to stop what we do well? You got
I
to
can't
pick
even
one.
believe you're
Stoner.
asking me this question. I can't even believe this is even a question. You're always going to go and attack the weakness of the other team. I don't care what your strength is, unless you're the greatest show on turf and you're the Rams, or unless you're the Miami Dolphins of this year, which seem to be another version of that. Unless you have this incredible array of talent that doesn't matter what's on the other side, you always look at the opponent and find out what their weakness is and attack that weakness. That's just a no-brainer. If Washington gives up a lot of sacks, do you think on the other side that the Giants are just going to sit back and not attack Sam Howell? Of course they're going to attack Sam Howell. Why? Because that's his weakness. That's his opponent's weakness. Their strength is not rushing the passer. They have 5 sacks. But you don't think they're going to be in an all-out barrage going after Sam Howell because they know he holds on to the ball too long, or they know this offensive line? That's what good coordinators do. I can't believe you asked me that.
I'm just going to point out
personally.
I know.
Saying.
The Bills, for the record, didn't go after him. In fact, they only rushed for, or they only rushed more than 4 a few times. They dropped back. They didn't go after him. They knew that Sam Howell was going to hold on to the ball. They trusted their 4 to get there. Okay. So, Trev, before I give it to you to give me your answer, I just want you to know we've got several people in here. Commander Lorian, that's you're wrong. PCC, wrong. First string.
What is so great about this passing
PCC? If your run game's terrible, you're just going to keep running anyways. You definitely have to run a little bit. The run game's not great, Stoner. The run game's just not great.
It's 4.3 yards per carry.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
That's not great. Right, that's great. Would be like 5-6 yards a carry. That's getting into semantics here. I just wanted to make sure I let Trev know before he picks a side.
Yeah,
overwhelmingly what the comment section was going for, in case he wanted to either jump into the hot tub with you, or if he wants to go on the easy side. So, Trev, what are you taking? You got to pick one. Are you taking the offensive coordinator who is going to game plan week in and week out to attack weaknesses? Or are you going to take, this is extremes here, I get this, or are you going to take the offensive coordinator who is going to week in and week out say, this is what we do, this is what we do well, it's their job to stop it?
I got to pick one.
Pick one.
It's tough. And the reason why it's tough is because when you have glaring stats like the Giants possess, you want to attack their weakness. But if you got somebody who's a contender and you want to go out there and prove you can hang with the big boys, then let's go see if they can stop what we got. So
you're not there. They're 3-3. They're not some juggernaut that's been throwing the ball all over the field.
You're right, but we have been throwing it way more than we're running.
Yeah.
Way more than we're running.
Yeah.
We're scoring more points that way too. But that's hard because like if you're playing what are the Bills weak at? Like I know we lost them. What are they weak at?
What are the
Bills weak at? What, defensively?
Their defense, I'd have to look it up. week
and we didn't. Yeah, so
week
like
3, I think that their weakness was, I believe it was the pass. Week 3,
and we threw 3 picks.
Yeah.
To their so-called weak pass defense. So I don't know, Stoner. I might have
Well,
to
it
say
ain't now. It's top 10 now.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's going to be top
I'm
10 when you
gonna
get 9 sacks and 4 interceptions, right? It's going to be probably one of the better pass.
Well, that's
defense.
1 out of 6 games.
I'm just going to be opposite and say I want an offensive coordinator that's going to say, "Hey, I'm EB. Stop me, bro. You gotta stop me. You gotta stop us. I
We're
don't
not
care
there
if you
yet.
allow
I
150
get it,
yards
Trev.
rushing,
We're not there
but we
yet.
aren't there yet. So, in order for us to get there, yes, Stoner, yes, all right, here's my final answer: OC that attacks the other team's weaknesses and exploits them. I'm picking that right now.
Thank you.
Because you're right, we're not there yet to where we can pick and choose and be like, hey, try and stop us. We came to stop the Chicago Bears, who did last in every stat.
If you think I'm wrong and you think Trev and I are wrong because he's on my side, hit the like button. If you think I'm right, hit that like button.
Hit the like button.
But what I'm kind of trying, Washington's pass offense is 16th in the league.
Yeah.
Per game, average per game.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle.
Mhm.
You guys are
Okay.
everybody in here is talking as though this is some high-powered passing offense. How many passing yards did they have against the Falcons last week? 150. They're 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, the offense wasn't actually.
They're 3
wasn't actually
touchdowns.
working.
We're on 3 very short drives.
The longest touchdown drive was 52 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't a juggernaut passing display out there, and it hasn't been some sort of just throwing the ball all over the place and exposing these defenses. It hasn't been that. That's not what this team is really great at. We got a quarterback that's been sacked 34 times. So let's go and drop back a bunch of more times. It doesn't make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. You all, everybody in here, I'm looking at you, and I don't know if you first string, if this is a toothpick, whoever it is, I'm sure it is. You're wrong. Okay, PNW Trout Slayer, you're wrong. Allison, you're wrong. EE, you're wrong.
Man, you called out the birthday, the birthday guy.
Wrong.
We got a birthday to celebrate for PNW Trout Slayer.
You know I'm playing.
Happy birthday, PNW,
Happy
bro.
birthday, Trout. Hanging out in New York, Trout is with the family, having to hear it.
That means going to the game.
So the is popping in. So we appreciate you popping in on your birthday. Again, happy birthday. Celebrate it well and safely. And hopefully Washington gets you a W, especially if you're up there hanging around with family in New York. But popping in, just want to say the Giants are going to sack the crap out of Sam. That's probably accurate.
We'll still win, but
we're still going to win. They might double their sack total on the year, but there we go. Wrong against. Yeah, Commandalorian getting on you. So, but I'm going to get to the Commandalorian one that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to just I do disagree with you guys, and it's not just because that's where the comment section is going.
Yeah,
he's pandering to the people.
I get it, right? This is extremes. Every week you should be going in and you should be kind of looking at what you can do on your offense to attack a defense. But if I had to pick one or the other, I want an offensive coordinator that is going to find what my team excels at and does that. And I'm going to bring it to the coaching experience I have with soccer. Okay.
All right.
I look at what my players do. I look at what they do successfully, and I'm like, okay, this is the formation we're going to run. I'm not scouting. You know, this of course is lower leagues and whatnot. So I'm not scouting the other team, being like, oh, well, they have this. I'm not making really too many mid-game adjustments where I'm sitting there like, oh, well, turns out they have a really great right side, so let me shift, to that side and everything. I'm looking at what the players I have, and I'm like, this is what we do well, and this is what we're going to do. And we win more games than we lose. And that's what I want out of a coordinator. I want them to look like, okay, what do we do? What do we do well? Well, apparently pass blocking, we're doing sufficiently enough. We've got speedy wide receivers. We've got a quarterback with a cannon for an arm, an absolute hose, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So why not use that? And then we got these guys at running back. Brian Robinson is a dude, right? He's an okay guy, right?
Mhm.
Chris Robinson can pick up some chunk yards for you, some short yardage yards too. And they got Antonio Gibson, who is a threat anywhere. So
Mhm.
let's go, we're going to use those, but our talent is at wide receiver.
Okay.
Would any of you argue that? Would anyone here argue with me that the offensive skill makers, players, okay, it's heavy set to wide receiver and not running back, not tight end? Anyone
would-
want to argue? No one's
No.
going to argue.
No.
Not one,
No.
I
Not
would not
one.
argue.
right? So if your talent is in the wide receiver core, and getting the ball in space to those is dangerous, and you have a quarterback who can make those throws, and your offensive line is good enough to block for 3 seconds, why wouldn't you just work on the offense and work on that passing game? Why would you not focus on that?
All right.
Because we don't have time to develop. We need to win. And the formula to win is to run the damn ball down their throats.
I'm with you, Trev.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
with
that
you.
goes here with the code talker.
Hang on. You didn't get a chance to retort that. I would like to retort that. I don't even know if retort is a word
he's
or
just
is
trying
even
to,
the proper word.
he just want to sound legalese.
Yes, I want to sound smarter than I actually am. I just want to ask this question, and then I'll throw it back to you, and then I'll hang up and listen. That's what I meant to say. The Dallas Cowboys
Oh
are
boy.
the third best against the pass.
Yes.
They're the third best defense against the pass.
Yes.
Against the run, I don't even know what place they're in, but way worse against the run.
Okay.
And I can look at it real quick. It's probably
Let's look at it.
15th, 16th, somewhere there against the run. But they're third against the pass.
Okay.
So do you want to go into Dallas and do you want to say we're going to throw it all over Dallas?
I mean, we've
Even
already
though-
seen Terry McLaurin posterize Stephon Gilmore, so why not do it again?
That's the worst answer that you could possibly come up with. For one, Gilmore was on a different team. And number
No.
two, you can't take one
he was.
highlight play
He was.
and
He
then
was.
say, this is what our game plan is, to throw it up into the air. F it, Terry's down there somewhere. That's our game plan. And he'll out jump Stephon Gilmore.
No, you attack their weakness.
You attack their weakness first. That's your goal. They don't stop the run very well. We're going to run it. They stop the pass very well. So we're going to have a run heavy game. Period. That's it. I'm just saying that that's what you should be doing. You should be focusing on the other team. My retort is complete.
Nelman here had a chance to meet Calais Campbell. Congratulated him
Cool.
on the 100 sacks. That's pretty
Hold
awesome.
on.
Hold
I'm all riled up now. You
I'm-
went and congratulated an opponent who got a 100 sack against your team?
Hold on. Listen to the rest of the story here. Nelman's telling a story. You gotta wait patience, Stoner.
Stoner is fireball today.
Met Campbell in Atlanta on Monday and congratulated him on his 100
Mhm.
sacks on Sunday. And he said, thanks, but unfortunately we lost. And Nelman continues by saying, yeah, I told you probably did because we beat you. So getting a little dig in on Campbell there.
Nelman, you're
Was,
on Facebook. You haven't hit that like button yet?
That's true. We could see the differences in those likes and everything. We do appreciate you joining us,
We
Nelman.
do. We appreciate it. I'm
I'm gonna-
mostly playing, but
The code
Mostly.
talker here at Ask
Okay,
for the
sorry.
panel. We want EB to call
Okay.
more run plays, but his play calling allows us to score 24 or more points. Why would you want to change that?
because if you did, you'd probably score more than 24.
That's a theory. That's
That's
your
a theory. So is that theory. That's a theory that if you run the ball more, then you'd score less than 24 points. So I'm saying that my theory Nelman, thanks for hitting that Facebook like button. Appreciate you. I'm just saying that if you run the ball, think about the second half again against Atlanta. If they had run the ball more, they may have scored on some of those drives in the second half. So that's all I'm saying.
They would have at least have taken more time off the clock. This is interesting here from PCC because this is this is a chicken and an egg type thing, right?
Decontextualized.
Stoner has completely decontextualized it all. The Giants have played 4 of the top 8 rushing teams so far. We ain't in that league. So my question is, and the reason why I said it's the chicken or the egg type situation, are they top 4 in rushing because they've played the Giants and they've just been able to run it up on the Giants, or are they actually good running teams? That's going to be the key question there is for this audience right now. Everybody go ahead and comment. Let us know what you think is the answer, because is this they are just good at, those teams were good at running and that's why the Giants were bad, or is this the Giants are just so bad and teams were able to run it up on them? By the way, I'll tell you the teams they've played so far.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks, Dolphins, Bills.
And who are you scared of running of those teams? You're scared of the Dolphins because of their speed. I mean, you're scared of everything on offense for them.
Yeah.
And you're probably scared of the Cowboys. Was that the one I was thinking of for the other one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals.
The 49ers.
Oh, 49ers. That was the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 49ers because of
Seahawks.
McCaffrey and his backups. But of those that they've played, those aren't they're 4 of the top 8 rushing teams, but they're not. I don't know who those other 2 teams are of those 4.
The Seahawks. Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Are the Seahawks in the top 8 rushing? But I'm just wondering who the other team. Maybe Dallas is the other one with Pollard, but those aren't scary teams running. And that's 4 of their 6 games. What about the other 2? Look, it is a chicken and the egg type situation. Whether or not it's the teams that they've played are doing it because they're played the Giants, or they're doing it just because they are a better running team. Who knows? But still, 147.5 yards per game is a lot.
Yeah.
Is
according
a
to
lot.
ESPN, top
You've
8.
done it over
it's
6
Miami.
games.
Yeah, true. Miami's number 1 with 1,000 yards rushing. Philadelphia's second.
Don't do the number. You got to do per game.
Per game, 181.
Because some teams have not played as many games. Some teams have had buys.
All right. Miami has 181 per game at number 1.
Yep.
Eagles number 2 at 150. Niners at number 3, 148. Cleveland number 4 at 147. Baltimore number 5 at 144. Cardinals number 6 at 141.
Interesting.
Bears at number 7 with 136, and number 8 is Detroit at 124. So the Giants have played the Niners, and that's it out of that top 8. And they're still allowing over 150, almost 150 yards a game.
Yeah.
So it's the defense. It's not the person.
It's not the rushing attacks. It's the defense is just bad.
It's just bad. It's bad.
Not good.
It's bad in the points per game that they're giving up, which is 28th in the league. They're giving up 28 points per game.
We got to run the ball, guys. We got to run the ball. Plain and simple.
You just got to run the ball, man. It doesn't make any sense to not run the ball in this game, period.
Yeah.
We're all wanting them to run the ball. On the opposite side of the field, Dan Jones looking like he's not going to be playing this week. Going to be held out by the team doctors again.
Yep.
And we're going to see Tyrod Taylor. Both of you are exclaiming that's good for the team. Of course, Daniel Jones 5-1-1 against Washington. And he only has 1 300-yard passing game and only 1 100-yard rushing game. Definitely feels a lot worse than that. But why would you rather, Trev, face Tyrod Taylor than Daniel Jones, who's not having a good season?
Tyrod Taylor has no idea who we are. He's been on the bench for quite some time. He hasn't seen a lot of action the past few years. He's an older quarterback. It's like his 13th to 15th year. And he hasn't been the greatest quarterback since he's been in the league. He's been a starter due to injury, but he hasn't come right out and, been lighting it up. I don't want to face a broken DJ rather than Tyrod. Daniel Jones finds ways to beat us. He might not throw for 500 million yards and a lot of touchdowns, but he will pick up that 3rd and 4 in the last 2 minutes of the game to keep the drive going. He will keep plays going with his legs. He runs wild on us somehow. Somehow he knows how to beat us. So facing somebody who's never seen us in quite some time, I'm happy with that. Yeah, they almost beat the Bills. That's because the Bills played down to the Giants level. It wasn't like the Giants were a better team. They just, I'm all about this. I feel there's no reason why we should lose this game. Tyrod can surprise you. He might get a first down here. He might throw a completion on a 3rd down here and there. Cool. But he ain't going to come out and take over the game like Daniel Jones does. Daniel Jones has beaten us without Saquon Barkley, without a wide receiver core, and without a good defense. So I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So give me Tyrod Taylor, give me Taylor Swift, give me Tim the Toolman Taylor. I don't care who it is, but I'm happy. We should win this game hands down. No excuses at all whatsoever, especially since their main guy, Daniel Jones, is not on the field.
I can't believe we're at a state where we would be concerned about Daniel Jones. We celebrated a Giant giving him the $40 million a year because we're like, Daniel Jones, you're going to tie yourself to Daniel Jones?
Yeah. Give him all the money.
But now we're sitting here saying, oh, well, I'd much rather face Tyrod Taylor than Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think there's a disconnect here, gentlemen. But Stoner, you agreed with Trev here.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get over your skis on this. Don't overthink it. Tyrod Taylor is not a good NFL quarterback. He is a backup for a reason. He's been a backup most of his career for a reason. I think he had about a 3-year run in Buffalo where he was the starter, but they ran him out of town. He's an average. He's the perfect bridge quarterback. If he was here in Washington instead of Jacoby Brissett, you'd be okay with that because he's a guy who can come in and give you a couple of spot starts like he's doing now, and he won't throw up all of himself. But he's not going to go out there and consistently win games for the New York Giants. He's not going to put the team on his back and win games. He can make some nice throws. He can make some nice plays. He can scramble out of the pocket when he needs to, but he doesn't use his legs like Daniel Jones does. He's just not a very good quarterback, and that's why he's been a backup most of his career. Washington should absolutely pummel this New York Giants offensive line and this game plan that they're going to have. They have to stop Saquon Barkley. That's who you got to be worried about. Do not worry about Tyrod Taylor. He's going to make some nice throws. He's going to probably throw a touchdown, maybe even 2, but he's not going to win the game for the Giants over Washington. And if he does, he's not going to do it consistently. But in this particular game, he's not that great of a quarterback. We have to stop overvaluing certain guys on other teams. We know who Tyrod Taylor is. He's not great. He's a career backup. I think he's 26-26 in his career as a starter.
Oof.
I think his most touchdowns thrown a year is like 12, something to that effect. He had last week, what did he have? He was I got it right here. Hang on, sorry. Man, versus Buffalo, he was 24 of 31 for 200 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. So he completed some passes, a good completion percentage, but he didn't put the team on his back to beat Buffalo. That's not what he did.
No, not even close.
So don't overvalue Tyrod Taylor. Can he beat Washington? Of course. Anything can happen.
He's 26-26-1. Tyrod Taylor is in his career.
Yeah.
He was only a full-time starter from 2015 to 2017
Oh
Yeah, for
Lord, that
Buffalo,
was
right?
5 years
for
ago.
Buffalo. Yeah,
What did
and
he
which
have for his most passing touchdowns in a season?
most was 20, and that was his
Oh.
first season as a starter. 2017-14.
And how many games? 16 games. He had 20 touchdowns. Ooh, that's scary.
15
Oh,
games.
I'm
Yeah, 14
afraid of
games.
Tyrod Taylor. He's gonna come out and light Washington
Yeah.
up. Come on, stop with
Yeah,
that.
he's not.
He
not
has
gonna
he has a
No.
completion percentage, career completion percentage of 61%.
That's poopy.
So
In this day and age, that's poopy. That's not good.
I have
Now, he
all the
was good against
confidence in the
Buffalo.
world.
Like he was 24 of 30 or 24
Mm-hmm.
of 31 against Buffalo, something like that, for
He
200
didn't
yards.
produce points.
Ooh.
right,
Yeah, no
this is
points.
Kevin. This is what I'm now concerned about here.
Yeah.
is, all this talk sounds exactly like the Bears preview. I'm concerned the
100%.
roller coaster Commanders continue, and so with the Giants, they played
Yes.
really strongly against the Bills, and it reminded me that Washington played really strongly against Philadelphia. Both of them, Super Bowl contenders and everything like that.
Mhm.
Washington came out flat against the Bears. Can the playing the Bills strong, maybe the Giants come out flat against Washington, a team that they should be a lot more competitive in? Trev, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, they're gonna come out flat, bro.
Yeah.
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 Because of that, because they're coming off kind of a high. That was Sunday night football, right? So it was a national televised game, and
Yeah.
and they should have got blown out by Buffalo.
They
We
should
all
have.
know.
Exactly.
Just blown out, especially with their offensive line issues that they had. A guy literally was signed a couple of days before the
Jordan
game,
Pugh. Justin Pugh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and he was playing left tackle for most of the
Yeah.
game, and he's going to be playing left tackle this week against
His-
Washington.
His intro off the couch, right?
Yeah. He's
that
a
was
third
dope.
string guy, basically off the couch, left tackle. If Montez Sweat and or Chase Young don't have 15 pressures each, then you're going to know whether or not
They're
to
not,
sign
but-
these guys, and either one of them in the offseason. They should abuse Justin Pugh or Jordan Pugh, whatever his name is.
Well, what about the flip side of that? Washington, as mentioned, kind of that roller coaster that they've been having. Good game, bad game.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue whether or not the Atlanta game was a good game. I mean, it was a victory.
Yeah.
But where's Washington's mindset coming into this New York game? Stoner.
Okay.
Someone talk.
I was
do some
Trevor's
talking.
going to go because I just rambled for a minute. But their
No, go ahead.
mindset is a little bit different, I think, because of New York, because they're coming off of a win. They're coming off of a little bit of a momentum. They saw what they could do defensively, and now they know what they got in front of them, and they can take advantage of this offense for the Giants. So defensively, they can build upon what they did this past week and continue that momentum. So they do have the mindset of going in against a team that they know is not very good. And look, we killed Chicago going into that Bears week of how bad Chicago was, and they were bad. This Giants team might be worse than that Chicago team. They're bad in all phases. Offensively, they're bottom 3 in the league. Defensively, they're bottom 3 in the league. They're bad everywhere you look on this New York Giants team. Their coaches are having issues with players. This coach, Brian Daboll, who last year we were told was the savior, was the greatest coach ever.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden he's the worst coach ever, and he's killing the locker room with some of the things he's doing. They're a mess right now. Their offensive line is in shambles. They're on their backup quarterback. Their defense can't stop anybody against the run. They're ripe for the picking, and Washington is feeling good and knows that they can go up to New York and beat the Giants into submission, and they should. I don't know if they will, but they absolutely should.
Well, let's go ahead and unless you have something statistically you want to bring up or something more specifically to the Giants, As far as how the game's going to play out, I would love to move on to predictions. Stoner, you said you
Let's do
got
it.
something for us?
No, you can move on to predictions.
All right, so stick with us here in the cool down. We're going to be going over our game predictions. Get yours in the chat right now. Make sure you hit that like button beforehand. If you're listening to this on audio, make sure you hit us up at Ref the District on all of our platforms. Let us know what you think, how this game against the Giants is going to go here on Ref the District Cooldown coming up.
The Cool Down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
Welcome here in the cool down on Ref the District. I made a mistake earlier and I said that this was a Washington home game. I was mistaken. It is a New York home game. I got my wires crossed. It happens from time to time, but I wanted to make sure we went ahead and corrected that. This is a game Stoner is saying that we have to win. This team might be worse than Chicago, might be worse than Arizona, a team we trashed in week 1 here on Ref the District. And now we're interested in hearing what you think how the game is going to go, and then get those bold predictions in here as well. Let's go with Trev. Actually, Stoner, you've actually teased yours first.
Yeah.
You've teased your pick. So let's go with yours, and then we'll get Trev. We're not going to allow you to be going at the end and maybe changing your mind.
Yeah.
You got to stick to your guns, Stoner.
Okay, very good.
And tell us.
I think this is how it's going to go down. First of all, again, we think that the Ron Rivera and his coaching staff listens to this show, watches this show. We said last week, here's how you beat Atlanta. You put 5-man line, stop with this 4-man. F.A. Obata's back, so now you got enough guys where you can do a 5-man line with Ridgeway and Obata. So go to that 5-man line, stop the running game. And that's how you're going to beat Atlanta. Make Desmond Ridder throw the ball and then take advantage of his inability to be consistently good. And that's exactly what they did. This is a carbon copy of what they should do against Atlanta. They should run the 5-man front, bring Cam Curl up into the box. They did that a ton against Atlanta. So you basically had an 8-man box against Atlanta. Do that again against the Giants. You absolutely have to stop Saquon Barkley. That's the key to beating the Giants, because he can beat you in so many different ways. He's still going to have a pretty good game, but get those 5 guys all the time. And by the way, this defense is going to be a whole lot better the rest of the year. Think about all the quarterbacks that they're facing, the offenses that they're facing the rest of the year. It's going to be a bunch of guys that don't run the ball, assuming Daniel Jones is not playing in either of these Giants games. But on one hand, you've got Tyrod Taylor. On the other hand, you've got Jalen Hurts, right, which is the week after the Giants game. But then you've got Mac Jones, Geno Smith, Matt Stafford, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott again, Tyrod Taylor again, assuming that he's not playing. Daniel Jones is not playing. I'm missing a couple of more, Tua Tagovailoa and Zach Wilson. In your last 11 games, you have one running quarterback, and that's Jalen Hurts, assuming Daniel Jones doesn't play. This is what you're going to see from this defense basically for the rest of the year. 5-man fronts, stopping the run, and getting after that quarterback. Against Buffalo, against Denver even, against Philadelphia, all they did was sit back and try to contain the quarterback. They're not doing that anymore. It's going to be a different defense. It's going to be different against the Giants. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I said I was picking the Giants earlier. I talked myself out of it. I've got Washington winning this game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a low-scoring game because EB's going to throw the ball 45 times because he just doesn't know any better. And Washington will win 21. You ready for it? 6.
Ooh, that's a pretty big
The
victory.
Giants
To go from
offense
saying he was going to pick
stinks.
the Giants to now picking Washington in a 2-score victory there is pretty interesting. It's also interesting to me, Trev. You know what I just heard there when he was going on that defensive rant of his?
What'd you hear, Nathan?
It sounds like he actually wants a coordinator that plays to his team's strengths and dares the team to try to beat them. I'm just saying, it seems that's kind of what he was like. You got to just, you got F.A. Obata, you got Ridgeway, you got a 5-man line, you got to make them try, stop the run and try to make them throw. That's fairly.
I would like to retort. Word of the day, retort.
Okay. Yes.
The point is the strength of the other team, you have to combat that. The strength is that they have running quarterbacks. So then you had to lay off and have a 4-man rush. But against teams that don't have a running quarterback. So that's where you look at the other team and make your adjustment to what the other team does well or doesn't do well.
Okay.
So completely wrong.
I just wanted to tease you a little bit on there. Kevin saying, yeah, we don't blow anybody out and be shocked if we hold TC Williams to 6. Lots of victories for Washington in here. And in fact, our poll won 1,300 votes so far in one day. Thank you everybody for voting and commenting on that one. 89% think Washington's going to walk away with this one. The ESPN matchup predictor has Washington as winning this one, 61.4%. The line is currently set at Washington minus 2.5. And everybody in the chat here, Doug 28-20 Commanders, Edmund 35-10 Washington, TJ 27-17 Commandalorian going back for the tie 9-9, 27-20 from Kevin. Let's see if everyone's starting the chat in there, especially with the comments. But so good answers there.
So many points.
Good answers on this one. 45-10 in the from Daryl. EE had Washington playing up their own talent. It would be 42-17, but since they're always mediocre, 24-24 tie again. We appreciate EE commenting on the community poll. Trev,
what up?
We got one Washington victory here on Ref the District. How does this game go on Sunday?
We're going to win. We're going to blow them out. I know people saying we don't blow them out, but it's time, man. We're due for it. We've got the offense that can put up some points, at least with more than what we've been accustomed to the past few years. And like Stoner said, you just got to stop the run. Saquon Barkley ran the ball for 24 times last week against the Bills for 93 yards. No touchdowns. Tyrod Taylor, nice pass percentage, yards, no touchdowns. They scored, 9 points? They lost 14 or 17-9, something like that.
15, 14-9, I think it was. Yeah.
We're gonna win 30-9. They're not gonna score a touchdown on this defense. And I think the mindset we need to have for this Giants game, just go back and remember what they did to us last season. I don't care if you were here for that last season, but go back and watch those 2 games. Yeah, and then after that, you're gonna say, "What are you doing, Taylor Heineke?" That's automatic. But besides the point, go back and look at those games and make it personal. They ruined our postseason hopes last year. They made us end the season with a tie on our record. We saw them lose up in the cold beeping suites at FedEx last year.
Yeah, we did.
Imagine the agony and pain they all put us through. Go back and rewatch that and relive that. Make this thing personal on Sunday and just make it a slobber knocker. 30-9.
Wow. 30-9 Washington Commanders beating the New York Football Giants. Wow.
Hey, Nathan, before you give yours, I got a cool stat for you.
Okay. Let me hear it because you guys are overwhelmingly positive here. That's normally my job. And now I feel like I got to bring us back down a little bit.
So Nathan, don't do this.
Here's a crazy stat, and I have not been able to confirm it. I heard it, and the person who I heard it from hasn't been able to confirm it either, but still, this is something that they heard. I will try to confirm it. 44% of teams that go into the fourth quarter losing won last year.
Wow.
So basically, if you are losing going into the fourth quarter, you got a 50-50 shot at winning that game.
Where is he getting all of these stats from?
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been able to confirm that, but the person was very confident that he had heard that stat. That's how close these games are, basically going into the fourth quarter, that anybody can win the game going into the fourth quarter. Most games are close. 40-20 is not normal.
I have seen a lot of stats, especially as this past week we saw the last unbeaten teams go down, right? And so the parity circle, I've been looking for the parity circle because I love looking for that every year of essentially any given Sunday, right? You know, if you as long as everybody has a loss, somebody's beaten somebody who's beaten somebody else. So I think that's pretty fun, but the parity goes further, and not just that we don't have any undefeated teams, but it goes further in the sense that the records are much more condensed, and we don't have as many blowouts. A lot of the games have been close this year, and I'm with Allison on this. I can't, in my right mind, call a blowout until we see one.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't think. It's not that I don't think Washington's not capable of doing it, because when this defense is firing on all cylinders, they can absolutely shut down a team. And when this offense is moving, we've seen them put up 30 points this season multiple times. I just don't know that we're ready. You talked about that earlier, Stoner. Like, we're not a team that's that successful that we can just kind of hyper focus one way, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we're a team right now that can bet on themselves to win by 2 scores. So with a 30-9 and a 21-6, I just think that one's those two are probably a little too far out for me and my likings. But I am going to take Washington. How can I not?
Right.
Washington is the better team, not just right now, but overall this year, they're going to be a better team. I thought they were a better team last year, and they got surprised both with a tie and a loss. But this year, I think that they're able to put it together. I think that the quarterback and the offensive coordinator that Washington has will be a difference maker here for the team. I do think that we're going to see a lot of sacks, but we'll get to that a little bit. But I do think Washington's going to win this one. I'm going to go with 24-19.
Okay. I don't hate that. I don't hate that score. I think that's a probably a little bit smarter score than what I put.
I ain't trying to be smart. I'm trying to be faithful and passionate.
This is the time, Dalla now. This is the time for bold predictions. And so let's get these bold predictions in here. Sexy Teddy here. Predict who will win the turnover battle, and that team will win the game. So
that's usually happens.
Let's do that. Put a Dalla on the turnover battle. I think Washington's going to win it.
Those turnovers are so fluky, though.
They are.
It's hard. You can't really predict turnovers. You can't say whoever wins the turnover number is going to win.
I can always count on Trev throwing us down some numbers. Let's hear it. Let's hear the Dalla, Trev.
Dalla sack, strip sack coming Sunday, and we recover it. There's a turnover right there.
I'm with you, Trev. I'm with you. Washington gets a strip sack.
Nathan is with me, ladies and gentlemen. No wonder it's cold outside right now.
Get strip sack. Okay, I'll go against it just for the action.
Okay.
TJ, Cody Barton repeats his performance last week. I, in the sense that he will lead in tackles, I think that's accurate.
I think
in
that's
the sense
accurate.
That he's going to be one of the top 4 defensive players on Washington, PFF wise.
They'll lead tackles, but they'll have no impact
leading tackles.
On the game.
We'll give him leading tackles. We'll give him leading tackles. B-Rob yardage. This is kind of the theme here. Again, 147.5. The Giants given up on the ground. What is B-Rob going to finish with? Let me put his over under. How about 85?
Under.
Ooh.
Stoner goes under.
I
Trav,
was gonna say 80 at the beginning, so I'm gonna go under too.
you're gonna go under. Dagnabbit. I
Yeah.
thought it maybe set that low enough. So interesting enough, despite the fact that
79 under.
hold on, listen here. Before the reason why I was trying to get it low enough for you guys to maybe take the over is because despite the fact that the Giants have given up a team total of 147.5 yards rushing per game. Tony Pollard, week 1, 14 carries, 70 yards. James Conner, 23 carries, 106 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 18 carries, 85 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Walker III, 17 carries, 79 yards.
He a Spartan.
Devon Achane, 11 carries, 151 yards. James Cook, 14 for 71 yards. So despite the fact that as a team, they're giving up, there's not an addition, there's not exactly
Like
one
one guy.
killer runner.
No, not at
been
all.
running up and down on them. So I was trying to get you both with it. Maybe I should have gone a little bit lower there.
Give me a reasonable number without you trying to trap us.
Okay. No, I mean that's no fun if I can't trap
I
you.
know,
How
right?
about 70?
Right.
How about 70? The over under at 70.
Over 70.
Well,
It's-
70.5 to make it
Over.
Yeah. So Trev's taking the over.
Yes, sir.
Stoner's going to take the under, and I'm taking the under. But I do think that Brian Robinson gets run more here, but I
Mhm.
still just don't. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is
Is
going.
capable.
How about this? Okay, so Stoner, was I accurate? So they're going to take the under there.
Oh yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I said whatever your number is, I'm probably going under.
Okay, so we're both on the under. Let's do rushing attempts. Washington finishes with more than or less than over under at how many did we have last game? We had
We were 22 last game.
because I was going to do 24 and a half, but that's an easy under. We'll do 22 and a half. Over under rushing attempts.
Over.
Trev's
Over.
taking over and you're taking over. I'll
Yeah.
take the under.
Does that includes as a team? So that includes
Yeah.
Sam Howell
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
No Sam House scrambles.
No.
Actual-
You said rushing. Rushing
Actual run plays.
Oh,
Run
like,
plays.
like design run plays.
Design
Like,
run plays.
Yes.
I'm not talking scramble, Stoner. You know darn well we'll go through run plays.
So you
Called
can't look at
run
the box
plays.
score to figure it out.
You
You, have
can't.
to go.
You'll-
to the
Yeah,
play
you
by
have
play.
to.
You can of course look at Sam House 4 runs that he has. That's simple enough to be like, okay, these were you look at those 4 in the condensed replay. And
How
you'll
many
figure it
did
out.
Sam have last week?
He had
How
4
many
rushes
rushing
last
attempts?
week.
And
Yeah,
how many were
4.
designed runs?
Oh.
Off the top of my head, none.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. See, because you can't do it off the top of your head. There was
Yes,
one
Mark.
Are we
designed
not
run.
watching the game? Are we
There
not
was-
watching the game?
There was one designed run. It was on that 4th and 1 play where he did a read
Okay.
option
Fair.
and he got 2 yards. So that's what I'm saying. You can only look at the box score
No,
unless
no
you want to
box
go
score.
back and do on. So rushing attempts.
He had 4 carries last week.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and only
3
one of them
yards.
was designed run. 2 of them were.
Well,
C-Rod
two of
is
them-
active, by the way.
2 of them, by the way, were kneel downs. One at the end of the first half and one at the end of the game.
Well, there you go.
And so the only other one would have been probably a scramble.
It was.
I'm taking the over no matter what we're discussing right now. It's over.
I want
Over 20 attempts.
ESPN.com rushing attempts for Washington
Ooh.
in the game. 22 and a half over.
Yes.
I like franchise stock here. 20 under. He's taking the franchise stock, taking the under because the Giants' run defense won't require that many to be effective.
That's fine. We'll just keep pounding and pounding.
I'll stick with 22.5 and I'll stick with the under.
Okay.
All right. 22 and a half,
got one.
0.5.
All right, Trev, hit us.
Washington, at the end of the day, has 3 team sacks.
What do you mean 3 team sacks?
3 or higher.
3 is total sacks?
Yep. Like the lowest they can get is 3. to win the
At
bet.
least 3 is what he
Yeah,
said.
at least.
I agree with that. I'm with you, Trev.
That's 2. That's
I'm gonna
2
go. I'm gonna bump that up and see if you all want some of this action.
No, I'm good.
5.
5?
5?
Nah, dog. We ain't
5.
getting 5. We're not getting 5. Nope.
Tyrod Taylor.
He's gonna no.
Pookie.
Their line is really bad.
So was the Chicago Bears.
Really bad though.
Not as bad as the Giants.
Tyrod Taylor was only sacked 3 times against the Bills.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I know. But that was one of those games where it was just like, it's. I can't explain it. It's not something tangible.
right.
Buffalo was just not prepared for that game.
And to
Right.
be fair, they also weren't sack masters the leading up to the Washington
in.
game.
Right.
And currently the only reason why they are anywhere near the top of sack totals on the year was because they had 9 against Washington.
Yeah,
So that's skewing the stats in their
I'm putting
favor.
the number at 5 sacks.
I'm with you, Stoner. I'm with you. I was with Trev at 3. I'll stick with the optimism. 5 sacks. That seems good.
They are going to get after Tyrod Taylor. They are going to get after because they're all going to be up there trying to stop the run. And if they don't give it to Barkley, they're going to get after Tyrod Taylor. He is not elusive enough to get away as some of these other quarterbacks they've played.
Nah, he old.
going down 5 times.
Well, let's continue with our game predictions and how this game's going to go here. 2 of the players we talked about extensively in the warm-up were Sam Howell and Jahan Dotson. We got to put our money where the mouth is now.
All right.
So who's got one on either Sam Howell or
I do.
Jahan Dotson?
Jahan Dotson scored the touchdown. It's going to be in the red zone.
Whoa! Ooh, I'm going to go not against that just because you went super specific. It's a red zone touchdown now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say no just because you made it super specific. So if he scores a 21-yard touchdown,
Yeah.
that is not
That is not it.
not it.
No.
So yeah, so I'm gonna touchdowns are fluky as they are, and then to go even further, Trev, to be like I might have gone with you. I might have gone with you, but then you're like red zone touch. Okay, yep, okay, we're going against. I'm gonna go against. That's like there's gonna be an interception. It's gonna be tipped.
Yeah.
So close.
And it's going to be on the left side, and it's going to be with under 3 minutes to go in the
He's gonna-
first quarter.
He's going to run a pivot route. He's going to pivot to the inside and fade out to the left and then touchdown.
I do expect Jahan Dotson to perform better than he did last game. That's not really that hard. You got one target, you drop the target. How about Jahan Dotson targets? Set the over or under at 4.5.
I'm going to go under.
So Trev's working with his family there. I'm thinking under as well. I do think that they're going to try to target him a little bit early, but they're going to do it in the game design. Eric Bieniemy likes to spread it around. So Trev, over under 4.5 targets.
Over, bro, because we were crying for Terry to get more targets. He got more targets. We're crying for Jahan to get more targets. EB obviously listens to the show every Wednesday. The DCUs.
I'm serious. He does.
So Jahan's going to get more than 4 targets for sure.
Okay.
So
I've got. I'm
What's
going to put my line at for Sam Howell yards. I'm going to put it at 186.
over.
Ooh.
Cool, because I'm going under.
You're saying over, Nathan?
I'm saying over.
He threw for what, 150 last week?
151 and 186.5. Just so
So that way we can't push.
I'm gonna go over. I'm with you, Nathan. I'm going over.
There we go. Going over there. By the way,
teaming up with Trev there.
Giant secondary is bad. The whole team.
They're not bad. Their secondary is not bad. They're 16th in pass defense.
They're not good.
They're not good, but they're not bad.
Kevin taking the over on the Jahan Dotson targets. I feel like this game they target him paired with the Giants making a point of taking Terry away. That's
all right.
possible.
I got a good one for you. very
Yeah.
geeky one. Washington's pass to run ratio will be their lowest of the season. So they will basically their lowest pass to run ratio. I don't know what the exact number is, and I'll figure it out. But this is going to be their lowest pass to run ratio, meaning they're going to run the ball a lot more than they normally do.
Man, yeah, okay, yes, I'm with you, Stoner. Because we attack the weaknesses.
I'm
Thank
with
you,
you.
Trev.
I'm with you as well. So no action on
Okay.
this one. I do think they're going to run the ball. I think that it's just going to be a slower plodding game. You're not going to have too much time to run a lot of plays. So it's going to be something like, 26 passes to, the 22 rushes.
Yeah, because last week we had 23 and 22.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty close there.
Last week was 23 and
Maryland
22.
player we all liked in the draft.
No, it's so low.
Deontay Banks.
Yeah, we wanted him.
We
He's
all
pretty
liked
good.
him. He did get picked up by the Giants. I don't think we expected to have Emmanuel Forbes and Christian Gonzalez. Well, maybe Emmanuel Forbes. But Banks was someone we liked. How is he going to do against Washington?
He's going to get sunned by Terry McLaurin because he's going to be guarding.
F Deontay Banks. He's a giant.
if he's even if he's healthy enough, he's been injured a couple of times already this season. He really hasn't done anything on the Giants, so he's going to get sunned.
All right, I got one for you. Khaleke Hudson.
Oh no! Next,
plus Juan Martin will have a combined 20.5 snaps.
No.
No?
All
right, cool.
They'll have 18.
Just a reminder that the defense last week against the Falcons played an absurd amount of snaps. Okay.
Yeah.
An absurd.
Yeah. Couldn't get
Hudson played 10. Martin played 7.
So 17. When they played, they had to play. It was 83, I think is what it was.
79 or depends on which
somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Yes. Somewhere in that range. So 17 normal game you expect around 60. Okay. So they played about 20 more snaps than you would normally see in a game.
Yeah.
And they only got 17. So I'm definitely taking the under on
they
on that one.
performed. They proved to their coaches
they did great.
They can perform, so they're going to get more snaps.
Fantastic. Probably not this week though. Unless you guys have another dollar, let's go ahead and move on to our survivor picks.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little rough. It's getting a little thin out here. Trev, tell me, I was talking to Stoner before. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, I kind of like the Browns over the Colts.
That's what I'm looking at too. You got, because they just had that big win against 49ers.
Terrible.
Gardner Minshew. You don't like it, Stoner?
No, you never take a road team in this situation. Number one. Okay. I asked San Francisco and Philly last week. It's hard to win on the road, regardless of how good you are. Don't take a road team. That's rule number one. Rule number two, pick out the worst teams who are on the road and take the home team. That's rule number two.
You mean tell me you wouldn't pick the Bills over the Patriots and the Bills are on the road?
Well, I would, yes, but we can't because we've already used the Bills. But just because the Patriots are so god awful.
Oh, that was close. I do like the Browns over the Colts. I'm looking at the schedule since we can't.
Terrible.
How about the Bucks over the Falcons? That's a home team.
That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. You don't take. Are you saying that game's a toss-up?
That game's 2.5.
So you don't.
Yeah.
This is a survivor pool. You don't take toss-ups in survivor pools.
Okay, so you're going to take the Seahawks over the Cardinals.
Or Seahawks over Cardinals.
That's an 8-point game. Okay, I guess we're going to go roll with the Seahawks in both games.
That's a 78% win percentage. As I've tried to explain to you all with these things, with fantasy football, try not to, you're not smarter than a computer. Okay, go with what the computer says. The computer says the Seahawks are a huge favorite at home against a poopy Arizona team. They're not coming into Seattle and whooping them. So we have to go with Seattle. I mean, look, I would like to take some other teams, but we can't because we're locked out of picking them. The only other team that I would look at is I would look at is the Rams. The Rams are at home against the Steelers. So the Steelers got to go out west. Steelers are not a very good team. Rams are at home, but I just don't like, picking the Rams. I don't think they're that great.
Yeah.
So it's either the Rams or the Seahawks. What do you guys
We're
think?
going to go with the Seahawks.
All right. Seahawks it is in both pools. Now, in one of the pools, we do have an extra team available that we didn't think we had. I think it was Baltimore. Baltimore's in one and Washington's in the other.
Yeah.
But I don't think we want to take Baltimore against Detroit, even though Baltimore's
goodness gracious, no.
And we don't want to take Washington because they're going on the road against
everyone's imploring us to take the Seahawks.
Seattle,
which I hate Seattle with a passion.
Yeah.
And it would only be fitting that we get knocked out by the team. I mean, the non-NFC East team I hate the most is the Seahawks.
Oh, really?
I hate them. Hate them.
Do you like Calais Campbell?
I play Trent Williams punching Sherman in the face on like a yearly basis. I love watching that one. That's been our episode 144. We're going to close things up here. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, Daily Commanders Update Friday as well. On Saturday, we'll be bringing you your Giants preview from the Giants side. So you're going to want to make sure you tune in that, because maybe all these good feelings is because we're here with you in the chat, Super Chef, TJ, Uptown Dre, Trout, happy birthday again. Franchise in there. Gus was in here. Doug was in here. Allison Rockman, everybody joining us. Maybe we're just trying to share the good feelings and we think it's going to be good. So check out the Giants side, see how they feel about the game. And of course, on Sunday, we'll be streaming it, our play-by-play and commentary here, and we'll bring you the latest updates on that one. So be sure to check it out. And Gus, by that game, I promise you, we'll have the old song back here on Ref the District. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us here as well. And until next time,
be a fan.
Yes,
I can't even top that. Be a fan is right.